Thank you all for attending the stream. In today's stream, we're going to be chipping down what's happened yesterday, what's happened today, what I'm expecting going forward on Bitcoin. You know, it was a shit show in my opinion, which is why I kind of want to do a quick market outlook here to help you guys what I'm expecting going forward on Bitcoin. For me personally, it was a very big week because I've been doing this for 8 years, and this was really something that I've been looking forward to finally be, have an ETF approval, to get recognized by, in a matter of fact, you shouldn't really give two fucks about it, but I think it's a great milestone for Bitcoin traders or the crypto scene in general. So first off, congratulations for that milestone. Secondly, it was a total shit show. And it all started with this. Like, if I go towards this image, how in the actual fuck is the SEC hacked the first day before we're getting an ETF approval? Like, you cannot make this shit up, right? We got this image out. It was not yesterday, it was 2 days ago, where they said today's approval enhances market transparency and provide investors with efficient access to digital assets investments within a regulated framework. Of course, this pushed the market higher, as everybody was anticipating that this was the actual approval of the SEC. Then, Gary came out and he said, the Twitter account was compromised, yada, 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 and an unauthorized tweet was posted. The SEC has not approved the listing and trading of spot Bitcoin exchange traded products. You cannot tell me that this is not planned. Like, literally, you cannot tell me like this isn't something that I want to do. In my honest opinion, they wanted to test the market with this. Like, they wanted to see what the reaction of the market was, because they don't want the market to react too deftly on the news event, right? So in my opinion, they just fucked it around for their own benefits. And then, Gary tweeted like, yada, yada, we were hacked. And then eventually yesterday, when everybody was waiting for the actual ETF announcement, it was fake news. The documents were released. Documents were pulled from the website. And in all honesty, I mean, if you've ever watched Justin Sun announce an announcement, like, this was multiples worse. Like, it was really bad. And I was like, at this point, I was trading. I was in a long setup. And, if you quickly go towards the chart, let me just go to a chart real quick. I was in a long from this low, and I posted it on Twitter. And you can see it as well on Twitter. I set my stop towards this low. And what happens? Takes me out, and then it continues to rally towards my target. So, I was kind of pissed. I'm not going to lie. I was kind of pissed. But all in all, I think they made a total shit show of it. I think he did it on purpose to fuck us over for the final time, Gary. But I'm just glad that that part is done now, and we can focus on moving forward. I mean, the whole timeline was only focusing on the ETF today as well, which is, it's kind of logical because we had that launch today on the ETF. But again, right, let's move forward right now and trade structural levels again. The next thing that I want to outline here is that today there was a lot of anticipation about the ETF being bullish. However, what not a lot of people anticipated was actually there are a shit ton of people who were trapped in Barry's GBTC, right? And now everybody, Will Panda said it as well, everybody who owned GBTC are running to the exit. Am I right into understanding that now those coins are going to be made tradable again? Then Low Strife answered, congratulations, you're the second person I've seen on CT to understand the potential of what could happen here. Now, he did a wonderful thread about this, which I'll open right now. And that basically explained, he said as well, GBTC is beginning to accelerate. Billions in assets were begging for an exit for years, and now they're finally allowed to. There is no limit on how much redemptions can happen. There is a potential for a fire hose of hundreds of thousands of coins to be sold on the Coinbase spot market, right? Whatever isn't absorbed by inflows to the other ETFs will be net outflows, fire hose onto the spot market. Today we get to see how much actually wants to unwind and how much of a market there is to absorb it, right? And then Netradamus, apologies, he said as well, no redemption. It kind of means GBTC outflows are cash crates, right? This basically means market sold for USD on Coinbase, basically 20.8 mil in sell pressure, right? In a 28.5 bill, right? My bad. So that's something to take note of, right? So all in all, I think this whole ETF news thing, the announcement being fucked up by Jerry, Then we finally have the ETF trading going live, and then we have this motherfucker Barry. You know, people are trapped. They want to get out to get better fees with the other ETFs, or they done with it and just want to get out, right? So we have a new crypto villain. That's right. But enough of this. Now that we finally can move forward, let's move towards some charts. So the first chart right here that I want to outline is that for the first time in the history of Bitcoin, we have a golden cross. Now, a golden cross is a simple moving average with inputs the 50, the shorter one, and then we have a simple moving average with the length of 200. Now, this is the first time actually in Bitcoin's history, so we're not really able to backtest this, right? If we go back in time, go towards a weekly chart, right? We haven't seen a cross yet. However, this is the first time that we're getting a cross like that. And as a reference point, this is bullish, all right? Now, this does not mean that I'm saying, well, this is bullish, we're going to all-time highs right away. However, keeping in mind that during bull markets on Bitcoin, we tend to have like, you know, what is it? Let's check. Let's check here. We have 30%, right? 30% pullback. Let's go towards this bull market. What is it? 40% pullback, 40% pullback, right? So even if Bitcoin were to put in a 40% pullback here, it would be exactly at the 200 moving average right there, right? So this is something to take note of. Now for reference point, let's look at SPX, right? Let's look at the S&P here. The previous time we had a golden cross here was right there. Golden cross, and then we have multiple years of bull market, right? Same story here. Golden cross, multiple years of bull market. So I'm not saying that this is going to be the exact playbook on Bitcoin. However, I think considering that it is the first time that we have it in Bitcoin's history, it's going to be pretty significant here. So whether or not we're going to be, you know, getting that retracement towards 31K, I believe this is going to be an awesome buying opportunity for Bitcoin. Moving towards the total tree, this is something that we've discussed in the previous stream as well. I'm still bullish on altcoins. I think it looks relatively similar to the previous breakout that we had right here. If we take a look at this chart right there, we had multi-year consolidation here before we broke out. Then we had another consolidation before we saw the next leg upwards in altcoins. I think we're setting up for something similar. Not saying that, you know, we're going to go towards new all-time highs on altcoins right away. However, I do believe that this is going to be a very important pivot. If we're going to be bullish, I want to see this previous high support, because if we start losing and trade below it, this will likely become a bearish retest. And at that point, I think the entire market is going to set up for a bigger correction. So the ideal scenario here, and I will draw it out, is first part, we have Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin makes a next leg up, and then right now it did another leg upwards, right? Then we have Ethereum making a leg up, and then as last, we have higher beta altcoins moving upwards. For altcoins and Ethereum to get more breathing room and actually trade higher, we need Bitcoin to do fuck all. So I want Bitcoin to have a bigger range here in this current consolidation that allows Ethereum to run higher, and it allows the higher beta coins based on Ethereum to run upwards as well, right? This is something that I want to see right now. So that's mainly going to be, you know, how and where is Bitcoin going to go next? Now, for those of you who have been watching my streams for more than, you know, one time or whatever, like how long are you watching my streams for? But you know that I like to trade VWAPs. Now, in the previous streams, I said Bitcoin is trading above the 2021 VWAP. 45.2K is my bullish line in the sand here. This needs to hold as support. So the higher time frame picture on Bitcoin remains bullish in my opinion. Even though that we saw this nasty rejection here at the high, we're still trading above 45.2K. If we take a look at the right side of the chart, we've got the 21 quarterly value high that comes in at 44K. A huge level of support as well. If we can see the previous consolidation here, right? Now we're breaking away from that consolidation. So even if Bitcoin were to spike into this level, then reclaim 44K and eventually 45.2, I would still be looking for higher prices, right? I think this is a you know, a natural reaction to the market being over leveraged, hyping up into the ETF trading. There was a lot of open interest being built up within this leg upwards. They're getting squeezed lower here. So who knows, right? But the higher time frame pivot for me is going to be the 2021 VWAP at 45.2K. This needs to hold a support. If not, right, let's make it really simple here. Let me open up a one chart. In the previous tweets, I said Bitcoin is trading, if you go all the way back towards the left side, we have a yearly value from 2021 here. Value area high, value area low, mid-range, which is basically VWAP. There's either going to be a move higher towards the 2021 value area high, or there's going to be a move lower towards the 2021 value area low, right? So depending on where we are going, it really depends on the 2021 VWAP. If we break below 45.2K, at that point, I'll start to get bearish, right? And I'm going to be targeting all the way down towards 35.620. Because from a higher time frame standpoint, this is support, right? We can clearly see it here. If I take this right here, we have resistance, 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 and now we're trading above. So this level needs to be respected as support. I don't really care what we're doing here, but from a higher time frame perspective, it needs to hold for a move towards 55K. That's where I get my level from. Conversely, if the market fails to hold 45.2K as support, we're likely to go retest this and trade all the way back towards 35.6. So be aware of that. Be aware of this rotation here at that 2021 VWAP, guys. It's going to be a very important pivot. Now, if we take everything and we plot it onto a single chart, is everybody following along so far? Let me know in the chat, because I tend to go on for quite some while. But if anybody has any questions, let me know. So, an hourly chart. We had this swing high here at 48.2K. If we go towards the daily time frame, we go all the way back towards this high, right? This high, it got swept, and purely based on the loss of, of liquidity, we're likely going to get some sort of sell pressure here now that is unable to accept above the high, right? It is not necessarily, I don't really think, let me clean up this chart real quick. I saw some people talking about stops being swept. I don't necessarily think that there was still pending liquidity above this high, because it's from 2022, right? You're not going to be telling me that if somebody shorted this and they have their invalidation above this high, they're going to be sitting through this entire fucking trade, and then they'll be having their stops triggered in 2024, right? With a run above the highs. I don't necessarily think that, that should be the case. However, everybody has their own system. What I do think is that a lot of people, maybe it's Capo. I mean, you've got to give credit to the guy. I mean, that guy's, I'll tell you something. Capo is actually genius, because he is the best marketing guy on Twitter. Every time Bitcoin goes up, I have fucking Capo in my Twitter feed trending. And I'm putting in the time and effort to provide context and quality on Twitter to make people follow me on that platform. He's just consistently wrong, and people following for him. So, I might just start doing that. Fuck it. Anyways, the reason why I think this works is because a lot of people are watching this high as a point of either breakout, because it's a last resort of resistance, right? There's going to be momentum traders watching the reaction at that high, thinking if we're going to be trading above the high, they want to get into a trade, right? And when they start buying and there's somebody offering liquidity here, right, in the form of absorbing all of that long exposure, and at that point it starts trading lower, the people that went out for a breakout trade above this high are getting flushed lower, right? That's mainly how I personally think that this scenario went out. I don't necessarily think that there's a cunt willing to hold on to a trade all the way above this high. All right, now enough about King Capo in this stream. Let's move towards the lower time frame. So what I'm expecting going forward. So I already said that reset chart view, hourly chart. From a weekly perspective, We have Monday's high, Monday's low. We can clearly see that we had some reaction here at Monday's high. Rejection, rejection. And now we know the market tried to accept above. Now I often tell people, what is the market trying to do, and did it do a good job of it, right? And at this point, the market tried to go and balance up. It tried to accept above Monday's high. A lot of breakout traders here thinking that we're going to go towards 50K in one go, slam back down, right? At this point, pretty decent reaction here. And by doing so, it formed a bearish break here. Bearish breaker, you know, whatever, supply, new supply here, exactly at Monday's high. So in my opinion, if Bitcoin is going to be bearish, it should hold below Monday's high, especially considering the previous reaction that we had right there, right? We can see a decent wick, and now we're breaking back below. Small little gap here. So purely based on price action, I'd say we need to hold this. Now, trading wise, what would be a trigger for me? I personally like to wait until we form at least some sort of a range. So for me, the range right now is this low. And let's say that we start doing this. And then tomorrow right here, I wake up and the market didn't really do anything at all. And at that point, we have a range low and a range high to work with. I know from a structural standpoint, this is resistance until proven otherwise. For invalidation, if you want to have a bit of a wider invalidation, I would suggest taking your stop above that high, but start closing the trade if we really start to accept on a 30-minute time frame above Monday's high. At that point, you know, we're likely to go higher, because if it's bearish, I want to see this for a trade. So I want to see an initial high being formed and an initial low being formed. Why do I think that this is important? Let me outline that for you. The reason why I want to see this before taking any trade is I want to see an initial low and I want to see an initial high being formed, right? And then at that point, I want to see a short-term range. The reason why this is so important is because when the market auctions in the middle of a range, there's going to be two types of traders. One is the trader that is impatient and that takes a short already here, right? And they will have their stop above the high. Number two, or, you know, conversely, a patient, a trader is taking a long here with their validation below the low. The other trader is the one that looks for the breakout. So they either want to get long on a trade above this high, or they want to get short on a trade below this low. Now what happens? When the market initially forms the range, we're just chilling, we're waiting, right? Because, you know, we're the MVPs. We're waiting, and then the market trades upwards. At that point, the guy that already shorted is sweating his balls off, right? And we're watching here, and we're waiting because we know there's going to be a bunch of liquidity here in the form of buy stops from these shorts. And there's going to be people who are willing to trade this as a momentum trade higher. Now, what happens next is that we trade above the high. There's a big dick offer here sitting, absorbing all of that long pressure, right? All of those longs. They are not able to push this through. And eventually, we break back below. Now, think of it like this. If you were the guy that went long there, hoping for higher prices. If you're into a long and now we're trading here, are you really going to be holding on to your trade? No, you're not. So one, you are going to close the trade, right? You're going to be closing the long. This adds sell pressure into the market. The guy that were already short from this high and they got stopped out, they think, fuck me, I still want to short. So they get into here as well, right? So this is always the better trade. Wait for an initial high to form, wait for a short-term range. Then we need to see a spike of the high, followed by a lower time frame break in structure. This is your confirmation to short, and you're going to be taking the opposite extreme of that trade, right? If I were to give a example of that on how I traded it, remember the tweet that I did the other day where I was watching, what was it? This one. Yeah, it was this one. So I said, this is the range. Let's go towards an hourly chart. Just to show you what I was watching. Was it this one? Which one was it, chat? Oh, it was this one. Oh my God, I'm getting too old for this shit. My bad. So I was looking at this range, right? Right here. We had the initial low right there, initial high right there. And then right here, I woke up, grab a cup of coffee. I marked out this low and I marked out this high because from a structural standpoint, I knew There were already people longing this with their stop below the low, anticipating higher prices. I want to get in on a sweep below this low, followed by a break above a previous high, right? So this was the trade that I took. And I took partial profits, and I said it on Twitter as well. I'm taking off something here. But this is mainly to show you that there's always 9 times out of 10 on Bitcoin, whenever we form an initial sell-off or initial push higher, there's always going to be a second attempt of that low or that high for that matter, right? I see too many people trying to get into the trade right away. Same thing now, right? Even if we were to retest this and then start breaking lower, I would still hold off here because I want to see that initial range being formed. I want to see how we react once we start sweeping above the high, right? So I'm just chilling. I know what I'm looking for. I know that Monday's high is resistance, and I know that the 2021 VWAP, remember that we discussed that right here. 21 VWAP is one big ass support, right? So if I were to clean this chart up without deleting all my other annotations, let's hope it doesn't delete that. It does, but fuck it. The trades that I'm looking at right now are going to be based around this low. And ideally, I want to market to come back down a bit more, right? Show me this. If it can show me this, I'm much more confident in my trades. Then I know this is support, this is resistance. Do I know how deep we're going to go if we're going to break lower, or how high we're going to go if we're going to break higher? No, I don't. The two things that I do know is that if we break above this range high and then we slam back below, I'll be taking a short here, invalidation above the high, and I'm going to be targeting this range low, potentially even into the 2021 VWAP and Monday's low, right? However, I'm not going to be a stubborn little cunt hoping that if we start to trade below this low into key support, higher time frame support, and at that point we start trading back within the range, I'm going to be closing my short and I'm going to be looking for longs because lower time frame is looking like shit. I agree. However, higher time frame, we're still trading above 45.2. And until we start trading below that level, right, we're not able to trade below support. So I'm not going to be shorting into support. I need to see at least a break below. Short-term range, remember what we said here? Short-term range. Short-term range, range high, range low, spike above range high, reclaim that range, and then we can target it lower. And that basically concludes my plan on Bitcoin and my expectations going forward. Is that clear for everybody? I wouldn't rush too soon into any trades. Let the market breathe, show its hand, and then we can talk about trades, right? I think that's the key takeaway here that I want you guys to understand that. It's one thing to get into here at the short, but you know, that doesn't, you will end up burning more money trying to trade the Pico high or Pico low. I think the better trades are always to wait until a short-term range forms, trade the deviation, and then we get into a trade. Because, you know, from a mindset perspective, from a trading perspective, there's always going to be patient traders and impatient traders. And impatient traders, you know, they often take a shitter on Bitcoin. I mean, you know, same story here, right? Even if you were bullish here, again, I will just highlight this. Previous quarterly value area high is support until proven otherwise, all right? We form an initial low here. If we extend that low throughout time, we have the low, we have equal highs here. So this is the range, right? So A, we've got the initial low. This allows us to look for potential trades below this low because we know there are already people long with their invalidation below the low. If we sweep it, reclaim it, that's fine, we take a long. If we got stopped out, doesn't really matter because it was a good trade, all right? B, we have equal highs, so we have pending liquidity. That means that the market has a reason to go higher and it makes the trade even better. What happens next? We go towards the low, spike the low, right? Break previous high structure. Where do we come back into? Bullish break on the hourly chart. Boom. And look at how many time you have to get into a trade. Stop trying to get into a trade here with your invalidation below this low. Take this trade, invalidation below a proper low, and target a pending liquidity into previous week value area high, right? Take profit and they'll be the guy thinking, we're going for all-time highs. What happens next? Boom, right? Compound little wins. That's it. All right. Thank you all for attending the stream. I would really appreciate it if you can send me some likes on YouTube. Help me grow the channel. And I'll be back next time. Take care. Peace.